Lesson 7. The Return of the Iron Man. The farmers were frightened when they found from the farm to farm over the soft soil of the fields gained footprints, each one the size of a single bed. They followed the footprints, and at every farm the footprints visited. Apart from this, they noticed that all the metal machinery had disappeared. Finally, the footprints led back up to the top of the cliff, where a little boy named Hogarth had seen the Iron Man the night before when he was fishing. The footprints led right to the cliff top, and all the way down the cliff were torn marks on the rocks where a huge iron body had slid down. Below, the tide was grey, empty and moving. It appeared that the Iron Man had gone back into the sea. The Iron Man had stolen all their machinery, shouted the furious farmers. Had he eaten it? Anyway, he had taken it. It had gone. So what if he came again? What would he take next time? Cows, houses, people. They would have to do something for themselves. They could not call in the police or the army because nobody would believe them about this iron monster. So what did they do? They dug deep an enormous hole at the bottom of the hill, below where the Iron Man had come over the high cliff, a hole wider than a house and as deep as 3 trees, one on top of the other. It was a colossal hole, a stupendous hole, and the sides of it were sheer as walls. They pushed all the earth off to one side. They covered the hole with branches, and the branches they covered with straw, and the straw with soil. So when they finished, the hole looked like a freshly plugged field. Then they put an old rusty lorry on the side of the hole opposite the slope up to the top of the cliff. That was the bait. Now they were of the opinion that the Iron Man would come over the top of the cliff out of the sea, and he would see the old lorry which was painted red, and he would come down to get it, to chew it up and eat it. But on his way to the lorry, he would be crossing the hole, and the moment he stepped with his great weight onto that soil, held up only with straw and branches, he would crash through into the hole and would never get out. They would find him there in the hole. Then they would bring the few bulldozers and earth movers that he had already eaten, and they would push the pile of earth in on top of him and bury him, however, forever in the hole. They reckoned that they would certainly get him. Next morning, in great excitement, all the farmers gathered together to go along examining their trap. They came carefully closer, expecting to see his hands tearing at the edge of the pit. They came carefully closer, but they had to be disappointed. The red lorry stood just as they had left it. The soil lay just as they had left it. Everything was undisturbed, which indicated that the Iron Man had not come. They came in the evening also, but again they found everything disturbed. Next morning, all the farmers came. Still, everything lay just as they had left it. And so it went on day after day. Still, the Iron Man never came. Now the farmers began to wonder if he would ever come again. They began to wonder if he had ever come at all. They began to make up explanations of what had happened to their machinery. Nobody likes to believe in an iron monster that eats tractors and cars. Now the farmer who owned the red lorry they would using a bait decided that he needed it and he took it away. So there lay the beautiful deep trap without any bait. Grass grew on the loose soil. The farmers decided to fill the hole in. After all, you can't leave a gain pit like that. Somebody might fall in. Some stranger coming along might just walk over it and fall in. But soon they changed their mind. We didn't want to fill it in. It had been such hard work digging it. Besides, they all had a sneaking fear that the Iron Man might come again and the hole was their only weapon against him. At last, they put up a little notice, "Danger, keep off," to warn people away, and they left it at that. Now the little boy Hogarth hit an idea. He thought he could use that hole to trap a fox. He found a dead hen one day and threw it out on the loose soil over the trap. Then towards evening he climbed a tree nearby and waited. A long time he waited. A star came out. He could hear the sea. Then he saw a fox standing at the edge of the hole. A big red fox stood looking toward the dead hen. Hogarth stopped breathing and the fox stood without moving, sniff, 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 out towards the hen. But he did not step out onto the trap. Slowly he walked around the white patch of raw soil till he got back to where he would started sniffing all the time out towards the bird. But he did not step out onto the trap. Was he too smart to walk out there? It was not safe. But at that moment he stopped sniffing. He turned his head and looked towards the top of the cliff. Hogarth, wondering what the fox had seen, looked towards the top of the cliff. There, enormous in the blue evening sky, stood the Iron Man on the brink of the cliff, gazing island. In a moment, the fox had vanished. Thereafter, what happened? Hogarth carefully, quietly, hardly breathing, climbed slowly down the tree. He must get home and tell his father. But at the bottom of the tree, he stopped. He could no longer see the Iron Man against the twilight sky. Had he gone over the cliff over the sea, or was he coming down the hill in the darkness under that high skyline towards Hogarth and the farms? Then Hogarth understood what was happening. He could hear a strange tearing and creaking sound. The Iron Man was pulling up the barbed wire fence that led down the hill. And soon Hogarth could see him as he came nearer, tearing the wire from the fence post, rolling it up like spaghetti and hitting it. The Iron Man was eating the barbed fencing wire. But if he went along the fence, eating as he moved, he would not come anywhere near the trap, which was out in the middle of the field. He could spend the whole night wandering about the countryside along the fences, rolling up the wire and eating it, and never would any fence bring him near the trap. But Hogarth had an idea. In his pocket, among other things, he had a long nail and a knife. He took these out. Did he dare? His idea frightened him. In the silent dusk, he tapped the nail and the knife blade together. Clink, clink, clink. At the sound of the metal, the Iron Man's hands became still. After a few seconds, he slowly turned his head and headlamp eyes shone towards Hogarth. Again, cling, 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 went the nail on the knife. Slowly, the Iron Man took 3 strides towards Hogarth and again stopped. It was now quite dark. The headlamps shone red. Hogarth pressed close to the tree trunk. Between him and the Iron Man lay the wide lid of the trap. Clink, clink, clink. Again he tapped the nail on the knife. And now the Iron Man was coming. Hogarth could feel the earth shaking under the weight of his footsteps. Was it too late to run? Hogarth stared at the Iron Man, looming, searching towards him for the taste of the metal head that had made that inviting sound. Clink, clink, clink went the nail on the knife and crash. The Iron Man was in the pit. Hogarth went close. The earth was shaking as the Iron Man struggled underground. Hogarth peered over the torn edge of the great pit. Far below, inside grinding down there, and it sounded like a big lorry grinding its gears on a steep hill. Hogarth set off. He ran, home, with the great news, and as he passed the cottages on the way, and as he turned down the lane towards his father's farm, he was shouting, "We have caught the Iron Giant. He is now in the trap." Word meaning: colossal, huge, use, stupendous, astonishing, bait, tempt, sneaking, uneasy, brink, edge, barbed wire, pointed wire, cliff, rock face, gazing, stare, twilight, sunset, looming, frightening. Let's learn grammar. A, an or the. A. Indefinite article. It does not have a specific object, used with singular objects and with consonants. I have a dog. N. Indefinite articles. It does not have a specific object, used with a single object and with vowels A, E, I, O, U. Example: I am eating an apple. The. Definite article. It is used for a specific object that both the person speaking and the listener know. Example: the school campus is huge. The first time you speak of something, use a or an. The next time you repeat that object, use the. I live in a house. The house is quite old and has 2 bedrooms. Do not use an article with countries, states, provinces, lakes and mountains except when the country is a collection of states such as the United States. Use an article with bodied of water, oceans and seas. Do not use an article when you are speaking about these things in general. Do not use an article when you are speaking about meals, places and transport.